what's in the box. Hello friends, this is Max Headspace 9mm, and here we are again to find out what's inside of the box. Now I just got this and I'm really excited because I was expecting it. What I was expecting is from Primary Arms. If you've never heard of them before, they send me some information. In fact, they send me a lot of information. I get an email from them just about once a day, sometimes twice a day. And normally I don't like that, but from them I kind of like it. I enjoy it because they've got some of the best companies and products that you can get in the shooting world. Now, most of the time they are representing other companies, but something caught my eye that they just recently advertised. And that is a Prism Scope that they basically have their name on. I guess they designed it, or they felt so strongly about it they decided to produce it themselves. So I ordered one because it's actually a pretty decent deal for what it is. So that's kind of interesting. They give you some targets to practice with. I guess this is for zeroing. But here it is. The Primary Arms one-time compact prism scope. Pretty cool. Now, I gotta say, the thing that caught my eye about this was a variety of things. One is the price. It's, I think if I was not mistaken, it's about $229, something like that. And for what it appears to do, I didn't see anything in that price range. In fact, this might be a slight competitor to my ACOG. It's not going to do everything that the ACOG does, but it's way better than a red dot. And I'll explain a little bit about that. If you don't know the difference between a red dot and, so here's a lens cloth, book, all the stuff that you'd expect. If you don't know the difference between a red dot and a prism scope, the basic idea is a red dot is just a simple red dot. Usually it's reflected on a lens, and you don't have to line up two sights. You just, wherever that dot is basically where your round is going to go. And it's pretty good. For the most part, it's a real inexpensive way of targeting. But a prism scope is a much more precise instrument. Now this is really well made. This thing is beautifully machined. This I didn't know about. It has these flip-up caps, which are fine. The advertisement did not show these, so they just pop off. And I'm not sure if I'll use them or not. I'll probably store them with those on, but I'll probably take them off every time I want to go shooting. Because frankly, with these things flipped up, that blocks some of your view. If you're looking for a fast target acquisition, this is going to kind of get in the way just a little bit. But this is really nice. It's got a nice rail clamp here. This is something you could operate by hand if you wanted to. And then if you want to really put the torque on it, you could put a little wrench on there. It comes with a wrench, I see. And just basically twist it down just a little bit more. But the cool thing about this is you can take it off, put it on different guns, and go back and forth with it. It's heavy. You know, that's one thing about prism scopes. They are heavier than red dots for the most part because they've got a lot of glass in them. The idea being that you have a prism that has the reticle etched in it. And if you're wondering, this has a horseshoe reticle with a little aiming arrow in the center. It's basically the same reticle that made ACOG famous. It's a really practical thing. The big difference between this and an ACOG is that this does not have magnification. It's a 1x. But, so I'm looking through it right now. The clarity is unbelievable. I know I'm going to have no problem shooting with both eyes open, no problem whatsoever. The reticle is beautiful. It is a crisp, clear reticle. Now, this thing is the wheel right here that has the battery in it, and it has different brightness settings. So you can go from 0, let's see if I can see where I start to see red. The reason you would need to have this lit up inside of here is if it's dark. Like say you're in your house and maybe this is on a self-defense gun, or you're out hunting at night, or who knows what. Maybe you want it in the daytime. Maybe you prefer a red reticle instead of a black one. In the daylight, you shouldn't need this on at all because, you know, you're going to be able to see this etched reticle just fine. But this is really clear. I'm loving this. I really like the way this looks. And it gives you very positive clicks. There's no way you're going to accidentally bump this and get it wrong or turn it off when you need it or turn it on when you don't want it on. Oh, and here's the best thing of all. Oh my word. This thing, this knob, it goes up to 11. Oh my word. 11. Can you believe that? This is a spinal tap Prism Scope. If you never saw Spinal Tap, you don't know what I'm talking about. But basically, in Spinal Tap, one of the band members collected amps. And one of his favorite amps was his favorite simply because it went to 11. And when the interviewer asked him, why is that better? And he says, because it's one more than 10. Now, I don't know what in the world they're thinking, but going to 11 is awesome in my book. That's worth it right there. That's hilarious. I am just so impressed with this. I can't wait to get it out in the field and try it out. When I hold this up over my right eye, which is my, well, of course I'm right-handed, so that's the eye I use when I'm using a rifle, and I leave both eyes open, it's just right there. It's like the scope itself just disappears. I just see the reticle right out in space. This is going to be fantastic. I am so impressed with this. Wow. One of the nice things about an etched reticle like this in a prism scope is the fact that if you have any kind of eye trouble, which, you know, most of us actually do. Honestly, as people get older, their eyes start to do funny things. You need glasses more for seeing, and even a lot of young people too. And a lot of people complain about a red dot being blurry. And you would be amazed at how many red dot scopes or sights get sent back to the manufacturer because they claim the dot is blurry when it really isn't. And that is because people's eyes don't necessarily work well with all red dots. Some of those screens make their vision a little challenging. But man, this thing is crystal clear. I'm loving the way this looks. I don't know how they did that. This is bright and sharp, and it's all I can see. I mean, literally, the scope doesn't even enter my... I have, boy, unlimited eye relief. I could move this thing. Okay, I got the scope right now. I got the scope at arm's length from my face. And that reticle is just right there, and it's not a problem at all. And I get it right up to my eye, like an inch away. No problem either. This thing is fantastic. So what they say is that the battery that this has inside of it, I think it's one of those dime-sized batteries right under the cap here. I wonder if I can take this off. Ugh, I'm going to need a coin to get this off the first time, or the rim of a bullet casing. But they say that you'll get 3,000 hours out of this battery. So what I'm going to do, like I do every time when I test something, I'm just going to leave it on. And I'm going to log when I first turned it on, and I'm going to find out when it dies, and I'll let you guys know that. So I got to tell you, for $229, $239, I can't remember, something like that, this is a phenomenal eyepiece. I can't even say enough good things about this. And it's not so much the way it looks or, you know, the way it's built or the size or the battery it uses. it's something that you won't know unless you're actually holding it in your hand and looking at it. It just gives you the reticle you want. The horseshoe works as a fast target acquisition for close quarters. You've got a precise aiming arrow right inside that horseshoe if you really want to get super, super precise at distance. It's got a bullet drop compensator underneath the horseshoe so that you can basically go out there 100, 200, 300, 400 yards with it. And it's just a really great, great little mechanism. What I got this for is my new 300 blackout or my SIG 556 pistol. The one both of those I set up for my suppressor. I share a carry handle ACOG between the two of them, and I want a dedicated scope for each. So the SIG has a very odd height front sight. And so it's been like pulling teeth to find some kind of an optic that'll co-witness with that. This one, you have a really nice clamp mount, and it comes off. If for some reason I need to put a spacer in here, I think I can do that. It's got screws, 4 screws, and it will allow me to do something like that. So now that I've had a little bit of time to check out the Primary Arms Prism site in the field, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what I think of it. When it comes to optics, their choices are all over the place. I've had optics that I paid $20 for that I like. For a $20 optic, they just fill the need. And I've got optics that probably were in the neighborhood of $1,200, brand new. What makes an optic good isn't necessarily what you pay for it, but how well it does the job you want it to do. So when it came to prism sights, I didn't really have any. I had a lot of different kinds of red dots. I had an EOTech, which is a holographic sight. I have a few ACOGS. They're all great things, and they all do what they do really well. But the thing about a prism sight that I think I really like, at least this one, is the fact that the optical clarity is incredible. If you do not want magnification, then a red dot is probably just fine. Why does this need to be this way? Why is it such a heavy little beast? And why is it that you couldn't just get by with a regular reflex sight? Well, you probably could in most cases. The reason why this works so well is the thing that makes ACOGS work so well, the glass. This thing is heavy because it's got a lot of glass in it. And it allows a lot of light to come into the unit, and it allows it to go through the unit without diminishing the clarity or the amount of light that you're getting. In fact, I don't know if it's just my imagination, but it seems like I see more clearly through this than I do with the naked eye, even though there's no magnification. That's the difference of clear glass. High quality glass is everything in an optic. So when Primary Arms created this, or had a hand in creating it, they got it right. They got good glass. These things cost about $249, I think, something like that. And, you know, at that price, you're starting to get into something that's arguably expensive. For a decent quality optic, it's not. It's actually rock bottom cheap. But when you are starting to talk about things like ACOGS and that level of quality, $249 is really cheap. So what do I like about this thing? Well, I love the fact that it's actually fairly small. This is about the size of some of the very smallest ACOGs you can get. I have some of the smallest ACOGs, and I really like minimal magnification in those units. They come with these caps, and that's great for storage and everything to protect the glass, keep it from getting dirty. But the thing I really like is they just pull off. They're just plastic. Because if you really want quick target acquisition, you don't want those flipped up covers in your way at all. You want anything to get in the way of your being able to see something with both eyes open and then find it inside of here. Now that reticle is ground into the glass of this optic. And most of the time during the daylight, you don't need any red illumination at all. It's actually, I don't use it hardly ever. But if I were looking for something for nighttime or all different circumstances where it's dark, or maybe I'm aiming into shadowy areas, a quick click of this side wheel turns on the illumination, which is red. This is a really cool optic. I recommend it highly. It's got amazing clarity. It's got just enough overhang on these apertures to keep the glass from getting hit by the sun in almost every circumstance you're going to be in. So you're not going to get glass glare. If you go on their website, and I can't give you a link, I'm sorry YouTube won't allow it, you can get a flash kill for this unit. It goes right in there. But since I usually shoot this with a suppressor on it now, that's not an issue for me. So I don't think that I'm going to need that. But I do love this thing. It is really well thought out. It has, I would say, the same quality of workmanship and durability as an ACOG. It's a fairly new product. Only time will tell if it's as bulletproof and indestructible as an ACOG, but as I look at the way this is built, I'm quite confident they're pretty equal in that way. The only difference between this and an ACOG is most ACOGs do have some magnification, and this one does have a illuminated reticle that uses batteries. Most ACOGs do not. They use the fiber optic, which some people like, some people don't. And they also use tritium. I think if Primary Arms had backed up this reticle with tritium, that would have been really great. The problem with that is, in the daylight, it doesn't show up in bright conditions as well. This thing shows up as black, just like a regular hunting scope crosshairs would. So if you're used to that, you're probably going to like this even better. So, $249. I really can't see how anybody would be disappointed with this. I think it's one of the best kept secrets in optics for guns right now. So if you want something that'll do just about everything, and you don't need magnification, I think you're going to be really happy with this. This is Max Headspace 9mm. Have a good one.